Hello out there. Welcome to the Heart of the Witch's Path podcast. I'm your co-host, Helen.
And I'm Kathy.
And we're coming to you today from on a beautiful fall day.
In a beautiful cabin in the northern lower Michigan.
Correct. We are at this cabin for a weekend with our coven sisters.
It is our annual retreat. We call it Realordaway.
Because we are the mystics of Realor.
Right, and Lordaway just seemed kind of catchy.
It's cute. So we're waiting for the rest of our sisters to get here. However,
yes, we're sad.
We have a casualty this weekend.
Already.
Cornflower Moon is not going to be here today.
Cornflower Wolf.
Cornflower Wolf Moon or something. We love you, dear. We wish you were here.
She's sick.
She knows who she is.
Yeah.
So Kathy and I wanted to continue today answering the 77 witchy questions.
However,
but
first,
before we get into that, it's time for
our correspondence
of the podcast.
Which this time, because we're so unprepared, we have decided to use alcohol as our correspondence and not just as a way to wait for the girls to get here.
Right, because we're not actually imbibing in any alcohol right now.
We're drinking tea.
We have tea. What
Yes.
What are you drinking for your tea?
I am drinking ginger peppermint tea.
Oh, it's so good.
I know, it's delightful. It's my guilty pleasure lately.
Yes. And I am drinking throat coat because I was sick as a dog last week and we're still kind of...
And I don't want it.
Got some lingering, so we're trying to keep that going. So we're
going to talk about how you can use alcohol in the craft.
Yes.
And other than, the wine and cakes in ritual, you can use it for many other things, including as a preservative if you are making...
For your tinctures.
There's
the tincture making at its core basically uses alcohol. You steep fresh or dried plant matter in vodka, generally for about 6 weeks, and then you're left with a tincture that you can use for, whatever purposes that particular plant is for. I recently made an elderberry. Y'all know I got a bunch of elderberries recently, and so that tincture actually just finished.
I believe that was a nut that hit the roof.
Yeah, I think we had an acorn or something hit the roof. We both kind of looked at each other with big eyes.
What? Because we're in the middle of nowhere and we're on a lake and it's end of season, so no one is around.
No one, yeah. So it's like, yeah. Anyhow.
So you can use it as a preservative. You can also use it. Hoodoo uses it quite a bit as a spray to put on things.
And by spray, we mean from the mouth and spray it. Mm-hmm.
Prepare to spit.
Prepare to spit.
You can also use it to quicken your spells. Mm-hmm. You can also use it as a fire. And we will be doing a healing ritual this weekend because, it seems like everybody has something wrong with them in our coven. So we are going to be using it as a means of fire.
We're a bunch of sick witches right now. Dude. Sick and ailing, you name it, we got it.
So we are going to be doing a healing ritual where I had to come up with it because I'm not teaching a class this weekend. So other than cooking, the ritual was my job. And so we're going to be using a vodka as a fire for us to use various healing herbs to help us with the healing ritual.
I'm excited. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, because I didn't actually write it. It's all in my head. And I haven't really talked to anybody about it. But
that's cool because sometimes ritual is about the experience and experience the mystery that is whatever the ritual is. Right.
Spontaneous.
And I'm loving it. I like it. I love that a lot.
So we'll see how it works, and I'm sure we'll blog about it later.
Yeah. I definitely plan on writing a blog post for Monday. And I kind of briefly touched on it with last week's blog post. And we're going to try a little vlogging this weekend, so we'll see if there's some
because like half the people here are not out of the broom closet, so we'll see how well that works.
Right. I have my parameters, folks. Right. And believe me, this is the Heart of the Witch's Path news, and we're going to bring you all the news that is news.
Also, we're at an undisclosed location because we don't want anybody to know that we have use of this location.
Right. Because it's top-notch security.
Top-notch security. Okay, so let's get on to the questions.
Hardcore questions.
Hardcore questions.
The last podcast, we started the 77 Community Witchy Questions Tag, and we got through the first 15 questions. And so we will link to that podcast down below.
Sure.
Along with blog postings and things of that nature. So, number 16 question is, what are your feelings on raising kids in the craft?
We're not talking about my kids. Because my kids were bad.
Well,
we're talking about kids in general.
And you weren't practicing the craft necessarily
not
when you were
raising.
Younger.
Mm-hmm. No. But I think it is a good idea, just as it is a good idea to instill any child from any belief system with the ideas that their parents believe and practice. Mm-hmm. I mean, you take your kids to church. Why wouldn't you take your kids to ritual?
Right. And I'm totally open to it. I don't have children myself, but I like to think that if I would, then I would definitely educate them in the craft because that is my chosen belief system.
Right.
But I also think that it's important for a parent to do their job and parent their child and expose them to everything.
To various belief systems, not just the one that they follow.
Right, because it's a personal path. That's one thing that we talk about constantly here on the podcasts, is that it's a personal path, and your kids might choose to not follow. Just like if you were brought up in a Christian home, like both of us were, we chose not to go that route. And that's okay.
Right.
So,
but it is important, if they're not your children, that you make sure you have the parents' permission to talk to the child about this thing, because sometimes parents get kind of, irritated.
Well, yeah, because it's their job to parent their kid. So, yeah, I understand that. So, as with everything, it's about respect and responsibility.
Right.
All right, number 17.
If you were a god or goddess, who would you be? Ooh. Well, I'd have to be Bast, because she's a cat.
Yeah, see, it's easy for you.
It's easy for me. Cats are just my thing.
Bast
is my thing.
I was bad, and I read ahead on this question, and really? I was like, well, just a second ago. I mean, not like forever ago. Excuse me. Okay, we talked about this before. My patron goddess is Bridget, and I love Bridget. Bridget has been there for me for a really long time. However, Bridget has qualities that I don't have. And, she's a hunter goddess. So I don't know that it's a quick, oh yeah,
well, just because you don't have those qualities doesn't mean that you couldn't have those qualities.
Yeah, this is a thought-provoking question.
Really, that's part of having a patron god or goddess, is that you can bring their qualities into your life and into your personality that you don't have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that Bridget might be a good fit for me, just because, she's the blacksmith goddess, and I've really wanted to learn about blacksmithing.
Silverworking.
Right, and she is also a goddess of poetry, and I've been known to write a poem or two in my day, so there is definitely that connection there. So maybe Bridget is as obvious a choice for me as Bast is for you.
Right.
Is there a god that appeals to you?
I don't work with gods as much, although Thor's been really talking to me a lot, and I like the idea of sending lightning.
Oh boy.
But no, off the cuff, I couldn't think of a god that I could say, yes, that's what I would want.
Yeah, I'm not coming up with one either. All right.
Question 18.
Ooh. Do you use astrology in your practice? If so, in what ways?
Well,
I
We talked about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Astrology can be really good when you're building correspondence upon correspondence, and if you have the time to do that, if you have the time to wait, the days of the week are easier because,
Well, I think that that's about like
things.
That's like
the moon are
but like
easier.
as far as astrology, as far as reading horoscopes and looking at what house you were born in and all that.
The sun is in Gemini to do certain spells.
To an extent, I mean, I read my horoscope occasionally.
But that's not the same as using it in your practice. I think the question is more waiting for the optimal time for what you're doing.
I haven't done that much in the past, but I'm looking at doing so in the future. Because recently, in my last lesson in the Temple of Witchcraft teachings, I was exposed to the concept of lunar mansions. And that's interesting to me. And I think in the past, I have been a witch that predominantly used instant magic. Mm-hmm. If I needed something, if I felt that I needed to do a spell for something, then I did instant magic and I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Might not necessarily have looked at the moon phase or anything else, but use that instant magic.
No, but we have used the moon phase before.
Right, we have, but percentage-wise, I would think that 80% of my practice is instant magic where I do what I need to do then.
Right.
But I think that there are larger subjects or larger points. For example, I need to be finding another job. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing some spell work to try to do that, but I think that I need to look at the bigger picture and I need to incorporate all that's at my disposal, all the correspondences.
And I think that there's some truth in that. The more that you put into something, the more work you put into it, the more you get out of it. Mm-hmm. That's not always true. I've had some super success with instant magic where I had absolutely nothing but my will to make it happen. But if you're looking for a job, and if you do your research and say, okay, I want to do it in this moon phase, and I want to do it at this time of day, and I want to have all of these 5 or 6 stones and herbs and oils and everything, you're putting so much energy into coming up with that. And as long as you do the mundane stuff, like actually looking for a job,
right,
that puts more energy into what you're doing and could come up with a bigger success than just
and that's what I'm thinking that I need to look towards,
right.
So definitely. What about you? I mean, anything else you want?
Most of what I do has really instant, or it's been moon phase oriented. I guess if I had a big thing that I wanted to do, well, no, I did, because when I was looking for a job the other day, there were certain days of the week that I would apply for jobs the other day. The other year, last year, when I was looking for a job. There were certain days of the weeks that I would actually apply on because they were more gratuitous toward finding a job. So, yes, I did in that instance. But most of what I do is instant or has correspondence that don't have anything to do with astrology.
Gotcha.
More than the moon phase.
That about sums it up.
Okay.
All right, number 19.
Number 19. In what, if any, ways could you practice dark magic and still respect the beliefs of Wicca? Oh my God, this could be a podcast.
Yeah, this could be.
Okay, so I guess you have to define what is dark magic. And I'm a believer that there's no light magic and dark magic, just like there's no, good and bad. It's what you do, why you do it, and what outcome you're going for.
And I completely agree with you.
And so if you say, oh my God, I would never curse someone, well, what if that person is raping people? What if that person is molesting one of your kids or grandkids? Would you then not ever curse that person? Would you not do a spell for them to get caught? I mean, let's be real here. The whole Wiccan read and harm none, do as you will, you're never going to live life and not harm anything.
Right.
The trick is to cause the least amount of harm.
Right. And to expand on that, we're on the same time frame as, as far as our path and stuff like that. When we first started on the path to Wicca, I never considered doing anything bad. Anything bad, anything dark, anything negative. Because of the rule of 3, I never thought to, I tried to always spin things. If a coworker was, not pleasant to work with or whatever, I would never say, man, I wish that person gets fired. Because that's not
right.
And what I did instead was I would put energy out there, man, I want that person to get a great job offer that takes them somewhere else.
And in that specific instance, that would be the way that you should do it.
Right. And so that's how I tried to look at things.
Right. But let's talk about my stepmother.
Geez, I wasn't going to get that personal.
Let's talk about my stepmother, who is an older woman, and my dad is an older man, and he'd fallen, and he was starting to hit dementia, and she was leaving him in a room, dark, feeding him once a day, because he didn't want to eat, and, just so many things that she wasn't taking care of him, she wasn't giving him his medication, she wasn't feeding him, she just... he fell, she didn't take him to the hospital. There were so many things. And in a specific instance like that, dude, you better believe I did magic to get her out of his life. You had better believe it. And we also did the mundane work where my sister and I went and got guardianship of him. And now he's in a adult foster care, and he's being taken care of. And
he's doing so much better.
He's doing so much better. But when even after we got custody and moved him, she was calling him like 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, bugging him, how can you let your kids do this? And I got a hold of Miss Dorothy Morrison, who is like the best person.
And she is really a good person, because honestly, I was thinking about the Ken doll in the freezer.
Right. Which is a whole other story. But I got some bitch begone oil from Dorothy and a candle for banishing. And, she hasn't called or visited Dad in probably 8 or 9 months now. Because he doesn't remember her anyway.
Right.
And it was just aggravating him to have her around.
Right. And it was Dorothy who actually kind of changed, for me anyhow, how I approached
I will agree with you.
Positive or negative, intent-wise. It was her and it was Jackie.
Right, Jackie
Smith. Jackie, as a practitioner of hoodoo, which if you know or don't know anything about hoodoo, it comes out of the slave cabins during slavery in the South. And for the slaves, their magic was about survival. It was life or death.
Right.
It was sometimes keeping your family together.
Right.
And she puts it, I have chills just thinking about it.
Although it's kind of chilly in here. But yeah.
But sometimes it's about the bottom line.
It's about taking care of yourself and the people you love and protecting who you are supposed to protect.
Right. We are witches, and we have access and know how to manipulate energy. And sometimes when it comes down to a life or death situation, you have to do what you need to do to protect yourself or protect your family.
Right. And sometimes even if it's not life or death, if it's something that's going to harm you or the people around you, then you have to do something to stop that from happening. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that I would call that dark.
No. That was the first thing that I wanted to bring up, was that I don't believe in dark magic. Magic is magic, and just like a gun is a gun.
Right.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Right.
And so magic doesn't hurt people. It's people doing magic that hurts people.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
Exactly.
So, yeah. But
again, that could be an entire podcast.
Exactly. So, number 20. Sure. I don't know. Is it my turn? Do you have witches in your family?
Well, of course I don't. However,
not that I know of.
However, my grandmother had precognitive dreams quite a bit. Mm. And I actually I guess my family's not going to listen to this. I actually know nothing about my biological father's family. They were Native American. I really don't know what was in that side of my family.
Right. To my knowledge, there is no witch in my family. My mother has had some dreaming situations, but no one that I know of. No. So, number 21.
21. If you have a familiar, did you choose them or did they choose you? Well, I don't necessarily have a familiar, but my cats like to work with me sometimes.
I haven't had many pets in my life, and therefore, or exposure to a lot of animals until recently when, the Muggle roommate, she loves it that I call her that, by the way. Hi, Muggle. We got a pair of cats about 4 years ago. And they're more her cats than mine. But
they're going to cry now that you said that.
Well, I mean, they sleep with her, whatever. But aside from them, no, I have no familiar. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't call either of my cats familiars, but I have attempted to work with them recently. To some success, I think. But I wouldn't call them my familiars.
Yeah. I had a cow when I was little.
Me too. We ate it.
I'm pretty sure we did too. Awesome. All right, next question. Number 22. What item can you not witch without?
Okay, I guess let me say that I am a big believer in that you do not need any quote-unquote tools to witch. You need your will. That is what you need to witch. On the other hand, I love my stones. I love my herbs.
My item is not anything tangible. My item would have to be my guides. My animal guides, Bridget, the Archangel Gabriel. I work with Odin Father. I work with them nearly, and there's plant allies. I'm trying not to forget anybody. I work with them on pretty much on a daily basis,
Right.
Help to guide me, help to do this, whatever.
Right.
In meditation, whatever. So, yeah, I would say my spirit guides, I love you so much. Thank you.
Question number 23. What is your favorite Sabbath or time of year ritual? Oh, come on. What witch is not going to say this one? Samhain.
Yes, Samhain. For me, closely followed by Imbolc.
I like Yule, too, because we do the whole candle thing.
Oh, my gosh.
That is so much fun.
I think I did a blog post about Yule. And, the amount of candles that we light at Yule.
200 or something. But to expand a little bit on that, Samhain, we usually have an ancestor altar, and part of our ritual is we light a candle for each. We bring in pictures or something that symbolizes that person, and we put a candle in front of that, and we light a candle and speak to each of those people, and have several moments of silence while each of us goes through and does this, and it's a very moving ritual. It's not just the black cats and the pumpkin spice.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Right. All right, number 24.
Is it my turn?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Have you ever had a YouTube burnout?
I guess I'm not on YouTube that much.
I watch YouTube more than I watch television.
Yeah, I don't.
And no.
I don't.
There are certain people I follow. The closest thing to a burnout I get is frustration when there aren't enough new videos for me to watch. So, yeah, that's about it. So, other than that.
Question 25. What is your favorite witchy shop, and do they have an online store? Ooh.
That was too long.
I don't know, dude.
We gotta dame that up.
I really liked Jackie's store, the Candlewick shop.
That store was so cool.
Yes.
Again, I did a blog post on it. I hope I remember. Yes. I don't have a piece of paper to write down all these things.
Yes. I mean, there are other stores that have a larger selection of things. Was it
Blue Moon Gallery in Flint is okay.
What's the one in Ann Arbor? Is it
Crazy Wisdom?
That has a really good variety. Coyote Wisdom in Lansing has a pretty good variety. But I like Jackie's shop because Jackie sells almost everything almost everything in the shop is stuff that she makes, that her company makes. Mm-hmm. And she's extremely knowledgeable about everything. And, usually when I talk to Jackie, I'm like, okay, Jackie, what do I need?
Right.
And, she's
pretty intuitive.
60, 70, $80 worth of stuff.
And, I mean, she came into her store on a day that she wasn't going to be there.
Just for us.
That's customer service right there, folks. Right. And she does, I don't know that there's an online store
she has a website.
Necessarily, but there is a website and they will mail things. Right. So we did find that out when we were there.
Right.
So, number 26. When buying witchy items, do they choose you or do you choose them?
I'd say it's about 50-50.
Yeah, sometimes, if I'm buying a candle for something, then I'm buying a candle.
Right.
But if I'm buying a tool, like right now, part of my last year's training in the temple was that our relationships with our tools, they're not absolute. We work together. And so part of my training for that year was that there was going to be an item that I gifted to someone. And it just happened to be my Athame. And I love my Athame. But we both agreed that it was time, and we agreed who it went to, and it's with her now. So now I'm Athame-less. And I've been keeping an eye out, and I know that it's not going to be a quick purchase.
Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be.
Right.
But there are things that you choose, like incense, or if you need a specific rock for a specific spell. Or
because those types of things you clear.
Right.
And charge with the intent of what you're using it for.
But last year at Convocation, when we went into the art room, that turtle rattle, I had no intention of buying anything in that room, and that turtle rattle.
Yeah. Well, the same thing with me and that turkey feather fan.
Right.
I heard that it was out there, that there were a couple out there, and I went to look at them. No intention of buying anything.
Right.
And I picked it up, and I knew
that
it needed to come home
with
me.
Some yes, and some no. One way, some the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, 27.
27. How do you organize your herbs and ingredients?
Funny you should ask.
I have a basket. Everything goes in the basket.
I actually just had the inspiration to go through my herbs, clear out some stuff, and to put some in jars and make it easier for me to access them. I don't keep a whole lot of stones that don't have a purpose. I have a bowl that has some stones in it, but generally I wait until I have a need for something and then purchase what I need, stone-wise. But the herbs, I have some in a basket now, and then I have others that are in jars, labeled and dated if I know when I purchased them. And that's how I'm storing them now.
Which is a really good idea, and I may move to, somehow I ended up with our coven herbs too, so it's a good idea for us to do that for that as well.
And then as far as incense and stuff like that, I have a witchy drawer. So incense goes there, and it's near my altar, so that when I do my daily practice, it's right there and easy for me. And that's where I store extra altar cloths and other accessories.
Yeah, see, I've got the coven stuff. Then I have my stuff.
Right.
So my stuff is in the den in a box, all organized and everything. But the coven stuff, well, most of the coven stuff is organized too, based on sabbat.
Oh, I guess I've got all my oils in one location.
So yeah, I've got most of my oils in one location too. Are we?
We've got let's try to get to 30.
Okay.
So
get
28.
30?
Get through 30.
Okay.
Number 28. Do you have interest in other deities that you don't work with? If so, which ones?
There are several Incan or Aztec goddesses that I'm interested in working with. I cannot pronounce the names. Shell is one, maybe?
Okay.
And there are some others that are very interesting, but it's hard for me personally to find information on those gods and goddesses. Maybe I need to work harder.
I take it on a need basis, I guess. If I'm doing some kind of a long-term spell, or if I'm doing a working, or what have you, then I ask for someone to help. Now, I also try to choose a pantheon to work on for a year. This year, because of my studies in the Kabbalic Tree of Life, I'm looking at angels. Last year I did Slavic, and I've done Greek in the past, and I've done Celtic in the past. So, I mean, I learn about them, and we're interacting with angels this year during path work and stuff like that. So, there's nobody in particular. I just take it on a need basis.
Right. Okay.
So, 29.
29. Do you have a favorite time of day when you do spell work? Well, I guess I should say that I don't do spell work every day. I generally do spell work as an instant magic type thing, so it's when I need it. But other than that...
Oh, they're here.
Oh, they're here. Other than that, evening, just because I'm home.
Right. I don't have a specific day either. Just whenever I need to do something. Instant magic.
Right. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up because our
let's do.
coworkers-
I think we can do 30.
Okay.
Let's just wrap up.
Well,
with
30 is easy. Are you solitary or do you work in a coven?
We work in a coven. They're here.
So yeah, well, and we have worked solitary before. So
right.
Yes. Okay.
So. All right, so we got through 30. Yay! So that's it for this edition of Heart of the Witch's Path podcast. Until next time, this is Helen.
And Kathy.
And until next time, thank you for walking along on this path for a little while with us. Blessed be.
Blessed be.